Hello everyone, and in this video today we will together create a procedural tower with guardrails on top, and I will introduce a new node, group combine, and I will show you what is procedural and what is not procedural, and how selecting edges or primitives manually will ruin your procedural model or can create some issues later. So this video is like a revision of the nodes that we have worked with already, but with this group combine node we will create something procedural, and this is really important that we cover all the nodes that we have learned in this series. Let's jump with our scene, and as every time, let's create a geometry container first. And now I want to create the spine of the tower first. The tower, we will create a line, then we will create a sweep mesh, and it's the best way to create something around a spine like a line. So we'll create a line, and we have worked with this line in, I guess, all of the videos, right? Because it is really great node. So we have a 9, and let's give this 4 units in length. Okay, and let's have 50 or 10 points. We can increase it later. Give this a sweep SOP. We have worked these two like a lot, right? And let's give this some radius and columns. Let's say 40 columns and 4 radius, and increase the length of the line so we can have something big. Okay, now we have this, and give 12 points. Okay, now we have this. As I did in the group, in the one of the tutorials where I created a group of the alternative primitive rings of this tower, I will do the same. Just follow me. First, we will create a group by range, and in this group by range, I will give this select. But first, this is just a primitive. We need to convert this line into more primitives. Convert line. And if you are following this, then you would understand each node, because I have talked about each node like deeply. As you see, we have now converted this line into each where is that, each primitive. Before that, this line was just a single primitive, and you can see right there this, and now we have like we have 11 primitives after the conversion, and now we have like separate primitives. What I want to do, I want to give these group and transfer to this sweep so we can select like every one out of 2 primitive ring, circular ring. Let's just create group transfer, and now we are transferring this group to our sweep mesh. Right, I have talked this in my videos, so if you want to know learn about these in deep, you can go and watch, but if you know about these, then you can follow. Now we have our group, and what I want to do, I want to like rotate this so we can have a brick like structure. As I said in the last video, I want to create a brick like structure, so we need to separate this. And how we can separate this? By primitive split. We can just split each primitive circular ring, and then we can just rotate this. We can rotate on it y-axis so we can have a brick like structure. But we need to tell Houdini like what we like, which parameters we want to like separate. So right now these don't have a name or ID, they have their own parameter numbers, but I want to give this their own something, some attribute, so Houdini can know which part is to separate. Give this attribute create node and create a name attribute, and I would give this name, and I would have a value of 1. I would put this value 0 and primitive. I have done the same exact thing. So if you are thinking like why I'm not explaining each part, because I have already explained and I don't want to waste the time explaining these things that I have already explained. So I have this name attribute which value 0, its name, and its on primitive level. Let's create another attribute create, and same, give this name 1 so we can have a difference in these two, and give this value 1. So now when we attach this attribute to this, each like every primitive has this attribute which is name. You can see with the geometry spreadsheet at the primitive level we have this name, and now this primitive we have the same name and group at the primitive level group 1. But I want to give this name on the group 1. So in the group 1, okay, I want to give this primitive to the group 1 because then Houdini can know the difference like in between these two primitives. One is name, whose value is like 0, and second one is the same with different value. Okay, and this is on the group 1. So now when we are in the geometry spreadsheet, hit again. It is not working, and why? Because it's on point level. Now we have, you would see, now we have this name attribute on the group 1 primitives, and you can see group 1 primitives have name 1 and every other has name 0. Now let's rotate our attribute. Oops. Split. With primitive split, we can split the primitives in two parts, and with this I want to give this an attribute. So, and you can say by exploded view, and give this point and give this name 1. Now you can see it is separated. I have already talked about this in the last video. I don't know, in the last to last video, I guess. So go check it out if you really don't know what I'm doing here. So now we have our separated primitive rings, and I want to have a transform node so we can split. We can like rotate our group. Give this a rotation. Now we have a structure and it's brick like. Give this poly extrude, and in this individual elements, and you can just increase the distance. Okay. Output back, so we can have a primitive in the back also. It's a closed geometry now, and I want to give this a tower. Give this tower like a shape that can be like visually interesting, visually intriguing. So to give this, apply scale along curves. I did this same with the grass I created in my first, I guess in the second video of the series, and we created the shape of the grass by this ramp, and we would do the same with this tower also. And you can, this is our bottom and this is our top. You can add a node, a point, and you can just like have a shape whichever you want. I want this one, right? This is nice, and you can give this point B spline, so we can have B spline. We can have a smoother like difference. If it was like linear, then it's a very sharp. The point from there to there, and the line is going, and the line is connecting this point, is like making a really sharp angle. And if you want to smooth that, you can convert it to B spline. So now it is like really smooth. And as the same method as we did with the grass video, now we have a shape. We are in this poly extrude. This would be our base out. This would be our tower base. Now we need to create our guardrails of this tower, which would be on this. And in the last to last video, I guess I have talked about attribute promote, which is really important here. Like if we want this tower to be procedural, and if we want to make any change here, right? If you make any change on this primitive, on this circular primitive, the first top primitive, then you have to give like Houdini, you have to tell Houdini that this is our top group, and if we are changing the points in the line, we don't want this to be like getting lower. What I mean by that, I have created a video like the last to last video, and what I want to do in this in this video is talk about to create those rails. First, we need to have to like we have this would be our base, and let's jump into the next part. Give this connectivity, and now we have our each primitive, like this circular primitive part. We have each part has its own class. We have integer class primitive level. Okay, class 1, class 2. We have each primitive ring. We have each primitive ring, has its own class now. And now I want to tell Houdini that what is the max number of classes, right? This is really difficult concept to understand. But in this series, I have already talked about this, and it was a really long video, I know, but it is really important to understand. And now give this attribute remote. What we are making here is original name class. We want to promote the class attribute from primitive to detail level. And detail level is like the whole number of the primitive, that like we have each class for each primitive ring, right? Now we have each ring its own class. With this class, we have promoted the class value from primitive to details, and at the detail level is like the whole number, how many students in the class, how many class are in total, right? So we have just promoted it to the class, and now we can see we have 5 classes, which is an average class. We want maximum, how many classes are in the maximum, and we would give this max, as we did in the last part. And we have our max value and we have our classes. Do not delete original. We don't want to delete the class values on the primitive level. Like if you see this, we don't have these primitive, like this class value at the primitive level anymore. And when you uncheck this box, we have our values. It didn't delete. You do not need to delete it, because we need this class value to tell Houdini that which class is which. So to give this top part, like we have in total 10. The max number is 10. Okay, we have to tell Houdini how many in total. Every time it can change, like if you increase the points of the line, it can change, because the line is the base of our mesh sweep. That's why. Give this group expression node, and is this group expression really important? We did this group name top rings or top primitive rings, and we expression @class equals to @max. Toggle this on. Now we have our top primitive ring selected, and if we like increase the points, it would be the same, because we have our max value, and max value is like procedural. If you change the max value, then Houdini have a max value number which is equal to the class number, and here you see we have total max and we have primitive, we have class on each primitive. So if any class matches the max value, it is our top group, right? This is the conclusion that we had. If any class matches the max value, that means it is our top part, because if we have 14, that 14 would be the top, right? Okay, so we have this, and this is our base, and we have our top ring. Now this video will start from here. I want to separate this so I can make some changes in this, and this would be on top every time, even if we increase the points, because we have already given this our group expression. So in this group expression, every class, whatever class will has the value equal to max, that class would be in this group. So if we change the total number of points, we have our top point, and top point mean the most value, like the max value. Let's separate this top. We can give blast, and in this blast we want top primitive rings, and when you blast this, delete node selected. Now we have separated our top, and in the very last video I have talked about edge angle, angle between edges, right, minimum max, and I will do the same here. So let's create a group, because I want to select the top edge, so I can extrude it and I can have that part to convert into the guardrails of this tower. So in the group, let's disable this. We want edges, and I want include by edges, and edge angle uses angle between, and I want minimum. I want wait, I guess maximum. Let's say I want a number, yes, maximum value. And I have already talked about this, that y is 91.4, because this is not exact 90, this is not exact 90. The last video was 40-minute long, and I was already explained each and every part of this max angle value, so I'm not going to do the same here. And now we have our group, and I can give this group. So what is my point here? So in this video I have already told you that this video I will share two more new things, and these two things are group combine and this part, what is procedural and what is not procedural. So you see, I have selected these edges, and these vertical edges, these are not perfectly vertical, they are like perfect vertical is this when the vertex, the edge, sorry, the edge has a vector in the positive y direction, which is this direction. This is horizontal, vertical, and depth z. So we have these selected. My main point is here, I have selected these edges by this. I'm not going here manually selecting, like I'm not going and saying I want this number edge. Like these edge, these primitive have its numbers, right? So when I give this a manual selection, you are saying that now this is our manual selection, and you see Houdini is giving the selection a number. So every time you say Houdini, I want to increase the edges. So the edges that have this number will be in this group, not the edge you are creating. Like if you increase the points, like if you increase the number of this, like I'm saying, when you go to sweep and you said I want to increase the columns from 40 to 42, and in this group we have edges that have a number. Now there are two new primitives. So they won't be in this group because their value are like they have a name now. Let's see, we are choosing these edges by name, that is manual, and what is procedural, like we are doing it by like this. Like let's say you have two examples. First, I want two edges, right? I want these two edges, and this is one, this is second, and I'm saying that in this group there will be 1 and 2, this and this. Okay, if you are creating two more, now you have 4, 1 2 3 4, right? And you are saying Houdini that now I want those whose normal is facing the y direction, right? So like in the first first part, we are choosing these parameters by their names, and in the second part, we are choosing with the normal. Like if I'm saying that um, I want those parameters whose normal is facing the y direction. That means we are selecting like procedurally, not manually. Manual is not procedural. Like it can deform later. It can create some issues. It will break. It will break if you make some changes at the very base, like at the base level, right here. So I will show this in a bit. We have a group, right? And I will create a group and I will show you what I mean. And in this group, we are choosing it from there. And in this group, I will choose manually, and I will give this manual selection manually, or I can say manually selected primitives, not primitives, edges, top. I'm not really have the energy today, so my explanation uh, is not that clear, and I know that. So sorry for that if you having trying to understand what I'm saying. So this group we have manually selected edge tops, and in this group we have this include by edges. Uh, when I turn this on and I will give this edges, and I want to give this a manual selection. So double click and like the whole edge loop, press enter. Now we have like selected the edges by their name. Now what I want to do, I want to do the same, but I would do it here by like procedurally by this perimeter window. And let's create another group and in this group, let's say this is our top ring and our vertical facing edges. So I will give this name top with vertical vertically vertical just say edges. Okay, and this is our vertical edges, primitives no edges, and keep by normals, not normals, keep by edge. And I want the maximum value is I guess 40. You can do up to 90. It's more than 90. Yeah, I want these, so I have these now. And the node which is new, but it's not that complicated to understand. So group combine, and in this group combine, let's say I want this equals to this minus this. I will create a node. Where is our node? So what do we want? We want edges which are equal to top with vertical edges minus vertical edges. And I think you understand this because this is not rocket science to understand. And now what I give this here, this is our top edges equals to our top with primitives and with subtraction with vertical edges. Now we have Castro group edges. Okay, What the heck? What is this? Why we are selecting this? We have this, and in this we have this. Then why we are selecting this? Vertical edges, top primitive. Sorry, top with vertical edges. Yes. Now we have, okay, top with vertical edges. This, and now we are subtracting this, and now we have this. This is just group combine. It's not that difficult to understand. And I guess in the next video my articulation would be better because I'm a bit tired today, so it can happen, it can happen. I can be perfect all the time. Nobody can be perfect all the time. Nobody can perfect. Okay, nobody can be perfect. There would be some issues like I'm having today in my articulation. Okay, now we have this edge, right? And we have same edge with our manual selection, right? So you know the difference here. Just note that we have selected this manually and we have selected this by this parameter window, not by manually. That's it. Now poly extrude, and we would give these. I would give the same poly extrude to this also because I need to show you what is manual and what is procedural and how they can really sometimes create issues. Poly extrude primitive. I want group 2 manual selected edge tops, and extrude. Okay, give this one is enough. And also turn on this side group, and I will tell you what side group is, and do the same thing here. We want a base. Top edges, and here is the okay, same like they are interconnected. They are interconnected to each other. You can, like, the output is same, but the value, like, we are extruding this from manually, like procedurally selecting the edge, after procedurally selecting the edge, and we are doing this after manually selecting the edge. So they are interconnected, but they are not connected, right? Interconnected is not like they're connected. Interconnected is like if two things are interconnected, that means the output or meaning is same. If you interchange them, the output and meaning would be the same, but they are not. Like how do I say, difficult and hard are interchangeable. So that's what I want to say. And now we have this. Let's side group, turn the side group, check the box of the side group here also. Because side group is, what side group is really, we have this before, we have this now. So what we created here, we extruded the top edge and we have created some primitives. So the primitives are new, and the side primitives, the side group is the old one. So if you, when I give this a blast SOP and you say blast, we have this extrude side, which is the side group that we this is the side group, and what is the new group? This is the new group. It's just we are deleting the side group, we don't need it. This is the side group, this is our new. Same You can just copy it here, and in here, what's its name? You can say extrude side manual, extrude side manual, and delete non-selected. Okay, now polywire convert this into polywire and decrease the radius. Same, convert this into polyvar and decrease the radius. I have already talked about how these things work. So if you are thinking why I'm not explaining, because I have already. I don't want to increase the length, it's already 36 minutes. Now we have our guardrails, and also we have our base out. So I will just finish this video by this, and we can create our merge. So when I combine these, you can see we have our tower. Okay, and now really important, what is procedural and why it can be useful if you don't want to like make any changes in your model and project later. You can select it manually. It can be helpful sometimes, but it cannot be helpful sometimes if you want to make some changes later. What I mean by that, now we have connected the manual to the base out. We have our hand guardrails, and when I make a change here, let's say we had 40, now we have 42. You see, these new primitives are not in which group? In this group, because we have a value, we have primitives which has numbers in this group. Like we say, like let's take a class example. We have 20 students and we want to create a test, right? We have created a test and we put each student like with his name or her name, right? We have 20 names, right? Now two more students joined the class, and but we have the names of the students which were in the class. So there were only 20. Now we have two new. So we are saying that in this group there would be these students with this name only. It doesn't matter if we add two more students in the class, there would be only 20 in that group. That's why we are doing here. It's not that difficult to understand, and I know that you can and you had, I guess. So this is our procedure, and let's do the same with the groups that we selected are by the parameters. So where is that? This is, just deselect this and select this. We have the same effect, right? Because they are interconnected. Because we did the same with this also and this also. So do not need to have your minds out. I know it's difficult to follow me today. I know it is, but it's my kind of, it's my job to create these for me and for you also. Right, now we have joined the procedurally, like we selected these group by the parameters, so we can say that these are procedurally selected. And now when I increase, let's say increase the value to 42, now we have nothing. See, it is changing. And when you do the same with this and you say I have, see how it is, it will work only when we have 40, and if you decrease or increase it, it will break. Because we have primitives that has the name, we have manually picked each. This is not procedural, but this can be. I'm saying can be, because here is a catch also. We have selected this by the max angle, and max and minimum angle can change if you like make any change in the primitive shape, the radius. But it's more procedural than this, and it is procedural. As I showed you here, it did not break. And what I wanted to add here, like if I'm changing this, why it is changing? Because we have, and I want to add something here. The group expression, right? We have selected this, and when I go there, and when I increase the points, see, the changes we made on the top would be on the top, because it is because of this expression, a class is equals to the max value. These dogs, okay. I guess this is it for the video, and I should stop now. So I hope you learned something, and I am really sorry for today because my articulation and my energy was not good. But this is important to create. So this was not that difficult to understand if you have watched all the tutorials before, but if you haven't, then this can be a little bit challenging for you to follow. But I will make sure in the next video my articulation would be better, my energy would be better, and I will try to explain everything like in summary. But yeah, I hope this is it for today. I guess this is it for today, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.